setback for the supporters of Michael Brown, the black teen, who was shot and killed by a white police officer in Ferguson, Missouri. Now, according to a report in the Washington Post, the U.S. Department of Justice will probably not bring civil rights charges against the officer. So the fate of the Ferguson policeman Darren Wilson remains in the hands of a grand jury there. Its decision whether to indict him for murder is expected sometime in the next few weeks. Well, Gwendolyn Lindsay Jackson is a criminal defense attorney who has been following this story with us. Now, I gotta tell you, this probably doesn't come as too much a surprise to me. It seemed like the things that were being leaked from the grand jury, not from the federal investigation, seemed to indicate that this perhaps would not happen. Are you surprised by this?
To be honest with you, I am surprised by it because I, quite frankly, felt that there would be an indictment. There will be an indictment in the state case, and I really think that there is enough evidence to pursue a civil rights case. And remember, the Attorney General's office hasn't ceded anything yet. That's just been reported in the Washington Post.
Right. No, you mentioned
unlikely.
That, though. But, there are other people that would seem to indicate, and I certainly agree with you, but the other people seem to indicate that, perhaps the leaking of this information was a precursor to what some people think, and of course what the Washington Post is now saying, just one paper, that there may not be any charges, any civil rights charges about that. And I guess that's the thing that perhaps may be surprising to some because it's the federal case, not a local case.
Absolutely. Well, I will just to reiterate again in terms of the leaks, it's very troubling that we have the leaks. And because the grand jury, the state case is supposed to be, the state grand jury is supposed to be secret, that should not happen. But when you're talking about the federal civil rights case, remember there are two investigations. There's an investigation to determine if Darren Wilson willfully infringed on the civil rights of the young man. And then there's also a corollary investigation on pattern and practice of the Ferguson Police Department, because there's a lot of additional complaints regarding how they have handled themselves with respect to treating minorities in the community.
Okay, and that was something that Attorney General Eric Holder was so adamant about. But the question is now, we saw leaks from the grand jury. We've seen that and witnessed that in the past. It's not good, it's not right, but it happens. But are you surprised at leaks coming from the feds in this?
Well, you got to remember with the feds, we're not talking about a grand jury. We're talking about information that could have been passed. I'm not really sure how it was passed, but I think it's more severe when you're talking about a secret grand jury versus information published in the New York Post by an anonymous source, whoever that source is. It's much more serious because you have the grand jury, possibly the system being compromised.
We're talking about a situation here where there perhaps may not be any indictment against this officer.
Yes.
But we're also talking about years and years and probably decades more of disenfranchisement of the black community in Ferguson. If, and I'm just reading the tea leaves here, if you could read them, if there is no indictment, what recourse does that community have to feel that they will receive any kind of justice when it comes to the relationships between the government, local government, police, and the community?
Well, if there's no indictment, you have to remember you also have the corollary investigation by the Justice Department in the patterns and practice. So they may have some recourse with regarding that, getting the feds to review their practices.
Okay, well, I tell you what, we're going to have to wait and see exactly what happens out of this, but it doesn't look too good right now.
No, it doesn't.
Thank you for joining us, though.